What if I told you the biggest battle of your life isn't against anyone else, but against yourself? You chase success, compare yourself to others, and feel like you're always falling behind. But what if you're not meant to compete with them at all? So what happens when you stop running their race and start running your own? You versus you. That's the only fight that matters. Yet we live in a world that forces us to compete with others, to compare salaries, looks, success, and status. But no two people are the same. No two minds think alike. No two lives follow the same path. So why do we keep looking sideways, trying to outrun someone who isn't even in our race? We chase achievements that weren't meant for us. We measure our worth based on someone else's highlight reel. But tell me this, if you were the last person on Earth, who would you compete against? Who would you try to impress? So what if the real competition was never outside, but within? You don't need to be better than them. You need to be better than you were yesterday. Because life isn't about beating others, it's about becoming the version of yourself that you're truly proud of. But the hardest part, that opponent, the version of you that holds you back, is the strongest rival you'll ever face. So, are you ready for the only fight that truly matters?
The illusion of external competition.
You've been taught to compete since the day you were born. From grades in school to job promotions, from how you look to how much money you make, society has wired you to measure yourself against others. But here's the truth no one tells you. You are not them. And they are not you. You see someone with more success, more strength, more confidence, and you think, I need to be like them. But you weren't built for their path. You weren't given their mind, their circumstances, their struggles. So why are you wasting your energy trying to win a race you were never meant to run? The moment you start comparing, you lose sight of your own potential. You look sideways trying to keep up instead of looking forward and building your own way. But this mindset is a trap. It keeps you chasing shadows instead of creating your own light. So what happens when you stop? What happens when you choose to compete only with yourself? Think about it. Every time you compare yourself to someone else, you're fighting a battle you can never win. Because no matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone ahead of you in some way. But the real problem isn't them. The real problem is that you're using someone else's progress to measure your own worth. So what if, instead, you focused only on being better than you were yesterday? This is where most people get stuck. They let comparison drain their energy, make them feel inadequate, and push them toward goals that were never even theirs to begin with. But here's the secret. The only way to truly succeed is to stop playing a game that was never meant for you. So if you stopped chasing someone else's dream, what would you build for yourself? The moment you stop looking at others as your competition, you regain all the energy you've been wasting. You stop living for validation and start living for mastery. You stop feeling behind and start feeling in control. But breaking free from this illusion is not easy. So the real question is, do you have the courage to shift your focus from others and finally turn it toward yourself?
Your only real enemy, the past you.
Every day, you wake up and face an opponent. But that opponent isn't someone else. It's not your friend, your coworker, or some influencer on social media. Your only real enemy is the person you were yesterday. Think about it, your habits, your mindset, your choices from the past. They've shaped the person you are today. But if you keep carrying the same weaknesses, the same doubts, and the same excuses, how will you ever become something greater? So if you truly want to grow, you must be willing to fight the old version of yourself every single day. Most people never do this. They avoid looking in the mirror because facing their own flaws is uncomfortable. But if you never confront yourself, you'll never change. So instead of making excuses, what if you started making progress? You say you want to be more disciplined, but you still wake up late and scroll on your phone first thing in the morning. You say you want to be stronger, but you skip the hard work when it gets uncomfortable. So how do you expect to win against life when you can't even win against yourself? This is the truth. The past version of you is your greatest rival. Every single day, that version of you tries to pull you back to your old habits, your old fears, your old weaknesses. But the moment you decide to fight back, something shifts. So, how do you win this battle? Simple. You beat the past you by doing just 1% better than yesterday. You push a little harder. You think a little sharper. You choose growth even when it's uncomfortable. But most people won't do this. They'll settle, they'll stay the same, and they'll wonder why their life never changes. So, are you ready to break that cycle and prove to yourself that you can be more?
The power of daily growth.
You want to be better, stronger, smarter, more disciplined. But here's the mistake most people make. They wait. They wait for motivation, for the right time, for a sign. They dream about becoming great one day, but that one day never comes. So, what if I told you the only thing that truly matters is today? Think about this. Your future isn't built in a single moment of inspiration. It's built brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day. But most people don't see it that way. They chase big, dramatic changes, waiting for that one breakthrough moment. So they overlook the real power, the power of small, consistent growth. You don't need to change everything overnight, but you do need to change something. Even if it's just 1% better than yesterday, that's enough. So if today you wake up and push yourself just a little harder, if today you learn something new, if today you take a step forward, you've already won. But here's the reality, this won't be easy. You'll have days where you feel stuck, days where you see no progress. And that is when most people quit. They think growth should feel exciting, but real growth is boring. It's painful. It's waking up early when no one else does. It's doing the work when no one is watching. But if you can do that, if you can show up even when you don't feel like it, soon you will be unstoppable. Because here's what most people don't understand. Success isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. You don't need to be the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented. But if you can just be disciplined enough to show up every single day, even when it's hard, so one day you'll look back and realize you've become everything you once thought was impossible. So tell me, are you waiting for a perfect moment to start? Or are you going to take control of today?
The cost of staying the same.
You say you want to grow. You say you want to improve. But what happens if you don't? What happens if you stay exactly as you are today? Have you ever stopped to think about that? Most people don't. They think time will fix everything. That somehow they'll wake up one day and suddenly be better, stronger, more successful. But that's not how life works. If you're not actively improving, you're falling behind. So the real question is, what is the price of doing nothing? Think about the goals you've set but never acted on. The dreams you had but never chased. The potential you have but never used. Every single day, you stay the same. You're not just delaying progress, you're losing opportunities you'll never get back. But here's the thing, most people won't realize this until it's too late. So, will you? Because staying the same, that comes with consequences. Every day you avoid growth, someone else is out there getting stronger. Every time you make an excuse, someone else is pushing through their limits. But the worst part? The version of you that could have been, the stronger, smarter, more disciplined version, is watching you waste time. So, what are you going to do about it? You can either make excuses or make progress. But you can't do both. And if you keep choosing comfort over growth, don't be surprised when you wake up years later, realizing you wasted your potential. So, if that thought scares you, good. It should. Because the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret, that lasts forever. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to make massive changes overnight. But you do have to start. So, are you going to keep waiting? Or are you finally going to demand more from yourself?
The mental battle. Winning over your own mind.
You want to be stronger, more disciplined, more successful. But do you know what's stopping you? It's not your competition. It's not your circumstances. It's not even your past mistakes. It's your mind. Your biggest battle isn't against the world. It's against yourself. But most people don't realize this. They blame their failures on bad luck, lack of resources, or other people holding them back. So, they never take responsibility for the one thing they actually have control over, their own mind. Your thoughts can be your greatest weapon, or they can be your greatest enemy. But the problem, most people don't control their mind controls them. They let fear dictate their choices. They let doubt convince them to quit. They let comfort stop them from growing. So they stay stuck in the same cycle, day after day, never realizing they have the power to break free. But let me ask you, who is really in control here? The weak voice in your head telling you to quit? Or the stronger version of you that's buried deep inside, waiting to take charge? Because right now, you have a choice. You can let your mind hold you back, or you can take control of it and use it to push forward. Every time you think you can't do something, challenge it. Every time fear tells you to stop, push harder. Every time doubt whispers that you're not good enough, prove it wrong. But most importantly, stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is a lie. It's weak, it fades, it disappears when things get hard. So what you really need is discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is showing up when your mind screams at you to quit. Discipline is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. And that is how you win the mental battle. You don't need someone else to push you. You don't need perfect circumstances. But you do need to take control of your mind. So, are you going to be the master of your thoughts? Or will you stay a prisoner to your own excuses?
The Final Confrontation. You versus you.
You've been fighting this battle your whole life. You've faced fear, doubt, and failure. But now there's only one opponent left you. Not the version of you that wants to be better. Not the version of you that dreams of success. But the version of you that makes excuses. The version that chooses comfort over growth. The version that holds you back every single time you try to rise. So what happens next? Who wins this fight? You see, no one else can stop you. No competition. No criticism. No failure. The only thing standing between you and your potential is the version of you that refuses to evolve. But the good news? That version doesn't have to win. So right here, right now, you have a decision to make. You can keep doing what you've always done, waking up the same, thinking the same, acting the same. But if you do, don't expect your life to change. Or you can make a different choice. A harder choice. A choice to fight back. A choice to silence the excuses, to crush the doubts, to prove to yourself that you are more than your past, more than your fears, more than the limits you once believed in. This isn't about anyone else. It never was. It's not about proving something to the world. It's about proving something to yourself. So, what are you going to do? Keep living in the shadow of your own potential? Or step up and become the person you were meant to be? The battle has always been you versus you. And the only question left is, who wins? You versus you. That's the fight that determines everything. But even when you start winning against yourself, there's one more challenge you'll have to face. One that can break even the strongest minds. Rejection. You push yourself. You improve. You grow. So, why does the world still say no sometimes? Why do doors still close? Why do people still doubt you? Most people take rejection as a stop sign. But what if I told you rejection isn't the end? It's a test. A test that separates those who give up from those who rise. So if you're ready for that next battle, if you're ready to turn rejection into power, watch this next video. It will change the way you see failure forever.